All right, we are live. We are a few minutes late, but that happens. Technical difficulties. Welcome to the first episode of Talking Hoops with Jack and Jamie, both part of NCPreps. We're going to hopefully be doing this weekly, talk about any news that's going on in North Carolina high school basketball, really anything that we think would create good conversation. If you're watching, make sure that you ask questions, any of that type of stuff. So, thank you guys for watching. And Jamie, you can take away, get us going into our first topic, or really anything that you want to talk about.
Yeah, man. Well, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the premise of the show. I wanted people to kind of you to introduce yourself a little bit, Jack, to everybody and stuff, and why the excitement is about this. Because obviously, high school basketball in North Carolina is huge. It's a big deal. People really like it and stuff. And I feel like we have two completely different perspectives coming from it. You know, you're a high school student who's involved with these kids at that level and stuff. You know, and obviously I'm older, a parent, all that stuff. But a scout in the game and everything. So I feel like the juxtaposition of the two perspectives that we have can be an interesting thing for people to kind of latch onto and everything as well. And, us both being within the basketball world and knowledgeable about the stuff that's going on and everything, I think it can make for some very good content.
Yeah, for sure. Me growing up, I haven't really only being 14. I obviously don't have the years and years of experience like you do. But growing up, my uncle is the head coach at Greenfield, so that was kind of the program that I grew up watching. Went to most of their big games. Got to see Kobe White play all those years, Elijah McCadden, and so that was kind of in the program that got me into high school basketball. And then actually, this is going to sound like I haven't really been covering this long. Was last year's John Wall was actually like the first big tournament that I went to that kind of got me really going into this type of basketball in North Carolina, which, like you said, is so important in our community. And then since then, I've just been doing research, watching videos. Lately, I've gotten big into graphic design, and that's kind of just what has got me going into high school basketball. And I'm excited. Today was the first day of games for NCISAA, so excited for this next year.
And now you're being a little bit modest too, because I mean, you did start back in doing your thing in the John Wall, but now you're doing edit graphics for commitments, big commitments, ACC level commitments, and all that stuff. People in North Carolina, especially on the eastern side of things, you're doing all that for them too, and you're interviewing players every week through NCPreps and doing all that type of stuff too. So while you might be newer to the game, you're very well, entrenched in what's going on and the landscape and stuff as well.
Yeah, and I mean, with your years and years of experience, you're known more across, even through the whole country, doing North Carolina and South Carolina. Talk a little bit about how you got into it years and years back.
Yeah, so I mean, you can just use 1 year. So it might not be years and years, just years back. So my very first event that I ever covered was the Dave Tellup's last event. So his last Carolina Challenge that he did in 2013 was the very first event that I covered, doing it as a scouting thing. And then ever since then, just been working at it and grinding and developing relationships. It's all about relationships and all that type of stuff too, talking and asking questions and then not being afraid to work. So going into gyms and, just doing all that type of stuff too. So, I just started this past year, Absolute Basketball. So that's a scouting service. It's also a media company as well. So we do all sorts of interviews. We also do mixtapes and videos and, my writing and stuff. I don't have a website personally. So I'll write with the rival stuff with NCPreps and also Palmetto Preps as well. Doing that. I also have an NCAA certified scouting service as well. That has well over 100, closing in on 200 schools who subscribe to it and all that stuff. What that is kind of like a consultant. I guess schools, there are a lot of times they're hamstrung. They're not able to communicate directly with players and everything. So I'm out kind of their eyes, watching games and everything, sending them reports and everything. Actually, what I was doing right before here, I just finished up my report that I'm about to send out right after we get done with this.
Yeah.
That's kind of it in a nutshell. My years and years.
Well, now that Everybody knows us, how we've gotten into it. We've got a few topics that we've brought together, we've researched, and we're just going to take a few minutes to talk about it. And we want this to be an interactive show. If you guys have thoughts or have any questions, we would love to answer them. So our first topic that I think we had planned was talking about the team Word of God, who actually last year had notably Isaiah Todd. He graduated and is going on to the G League. But they got a lot coming back. And recently, one of the best players in North Carolina, Jai Smith, announced that he would be transferring there. Actually, I think you were the one that announced it. So they brought in him. Josh Bullock is going to Word of God now. So they've got a core of 6 or 7 guys that I think can make a run at competing with the teams like Moravian or Bull City, and maybe could even make a push with the teams like Winston-Salem Christian and Combine.
Have you seen Ja play?
I have not seen him play yet.
Oh, he is.
I've heard he's electric.
Oh man, it's super exciting to see because all he does is try to dunk and block everything. And as fans,
yeah,
you love that. It brings you out of your seat and stuff. He is a strong and powerful, explosive player, and I think that's what's really gotten him those 30 or so offers that he has right now. He's got a national ranking in the top 150. But he just spent the summer. He spent last year. He was at a boarding school. I believe it was South Kent Prep up in Connecticut. Now he's down here this year. He started off a little bit at Bull City Prep and he just transferred over to Word of God. But he just spent the summer playing with both Team Marie and Team Eat, just tearing rims off. I mean, it was an unbelievable sight to see. Somebody go for 28, 30 points on all dunks. Wow. But that's what he is. He's 6'8" or so. He's very strong, very well built, very powerfully built. And when he gets in his mind to play close to the basket, he can be an unstoppable type of force. When he gets in his mind to be a multiple position defender and a high motor type of player, he can be an unstoppable force. And I think that's going to be what Word of God, where Word of God needs him. Because as you said, looking at that lineup, they have pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was going to say, your description of him kind of reminds me of what Isaiah Todd was last year. I mean, just going to the rim and showing no mercy on dunking on people, making electric plays on defense. And I think they were kind of going to miss that piece down there on the block, like losing Isaiah Todd. But now with Jai, and you got so many great guards, Word of God, adding Jai Smith is looking to be more of a complete team.
Well, you look at it right now, and what they return is they might have one of the best on-ball defenders in the state with Khalil Marshall. Yeah. He is an absolute terror defending the ball, and that's kind of the catalyst of what goes for the team. Him on the offensive end, though, he came from Pender High School, as you know, with Juwan Carr. He came up last year. What he does is he plays mistake-free type basketball. He takes care of possessions. He takes care of the basketball, moves it around, gets people in their spots, and he knocks down his shots. So while he's not a game-changing type point guard, he's kind of a game-maintaining type point guard.
Like the quarterback that gets it to everybody. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then you have Po Boy King, a great scoring wing. You have BJ Keith, who's a tough, rugged defender. You have, as you said, Josh Bullock, who's really crafty and flashy kind of with the pass and great vision. You have the Nwosu twins, both of them 6'6", and I'm not going to try to pronounce their first names. But they're both 6'6" and long and really athletic, defend up and down the lineup. And then Saquon Harris, whom you're familiar with as well. It'll probably be his team this year, him and Ja both together. Their time to shine. So there's, as you said, a lot of pieces there with that team.
I think they're one of the most athletic teams, and then to pair with Po Boy, who is really just an all-around 3-level scorer, they're going to be very dangerous. The thing is, can they work together as a team? And like you said, you mentioned it a few times when we were talking on our podcast. Do they play for each other? Are they gonna play as a team? And I think that's really what's going to be to their key to success this year.
No, I agree wholly. How quickly can they gel this group of guys together? Because the talent's there. How can Coach Byron get it together and get it going? Now, he did come from a college level. He was the associate head coach, I believe, at Shaw before taking the job at Word of God. So he's dealt with egos. He's dealt with talent before and all that type of stuff too. So, it's one of those teams right now that nobody's really talking about. But by the end of the year, they could be at the forefront of people's kind of, conversations.
For sure. If you guys have any comments on Word of God, what your expectations are this year for them, that would be much appreciated. They're going to be an interesting team to watch on, as like I said earlier, it is going to be the season starts today. So I think the big game today was Wayne Country Day versus Cape Fear Christian.
Yeah.
That was the bit, and Winston-Salem Christian plays Bull City tonight. So that is a huge game.
Live stream right when we get off here on the Get Me Recruited YouTube page.
Oh wow! I hope that's going to be an awesome game. With Bull City losing Jai, I would say Winston-Salem Christian may be the favorite, but you never know.
Winston-Salem Christian has incredible length, and that's going to be hard to deal with.
Yes, and teams like that just get so many transfers over the summer are going to be are so hard to predict how they're going to be, and also hard to scout for on what to expect when you're playing them. So that's going to be an interesting game. And you're saying it's live streamed on YouTube?
Yeah, it'll be live streamed. Get Me Recruited's YouTube page. Check that out. I believe it's free of charge. I don't know that for certain though, so don't quote me. But I'm gonna head over there right after we get off of this and watch a little basketball.
Yeah, that would be awesome. All right, our next topic is talking about one of the best players in the class of 21 in North Carolina, Coel Mading. He's committing Saturday the 14th. I personally I think he would probably be ranked around 10 to 12 spot in the state. Just an awesome defender. I was actually at the NCISAA 1A Final Four last year, and he was so dominant against Greenfield. I think he had 8 blocks that game. So a great defender, has a nice post game and can pop it outside for a jump shot once in a while. So what is your analysis on Coel? And he commits on Saturday. So what are some teams that you're looking at that could possibly land him?
Well, Coel, he's a long rangy forward. He had a summer this year. He played with Team Curry. He was able to watch the Jonas do breakout up close and everything too. But unfortunately for Coel, that's kind of their position. So the fit there, questionable and all that type of stuff and everything. But what I can't wait to see is Burlington School this year, because this is going to be his team this year. They're going to run things through Coel. He's going to be the center part, the fulcrum of everything that goes on, with that team. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Coach Ryan Bernardi does for Coel with that team. And I have a feeling, especially the way that Ryan's talking so far, that we're going to see some big things that we might not have seen and possibly even forgot about maybe even this summer that he can do. As for that, I know that you're pretty close to the situation as well. Again, we say that you do graphics for all the big guys and all that type of stuff too. So you put out the other day, though, that he had a Final Four. He put out on himself that he had an 8, but you put out a Final Four for him today.
Yeah, so I talked with him, and he said the 4 that he's really been focusing on, that he's been looking at closely, has been NC Central, Providence, Howard, and Clemson. So those 4 are really the teams that he's been focusing on and that have the best shot to land him. So I think those 4 are definitely going to be the shot to land Coel. And I think last year, being the third option on that team behind Jaden and Malaysia, who are now at Elon and Rice. Sometimes he got a little bit lost off the ball. Malaysia was probably, I think he may have had the best season on that team last year. Just one of the most efficient players in North Carolina. Like you said, this is going to be his team, and now getting another great point guard in Jamari Thomas. I think this is going to be a year for him to break out nationally. And the team that he's committing to is going to get a great defender, a two-way player that really lights up the game from the tip-off to the buzzer. So I think he's going to be a great player this year.
Yeah, no, and I think the big thing with Coel is his confidence. I think him maintaining and having confidence, understanding that he is a really good player, and all that type of stuff, I feel like will be kind of the point that projects him forward and moves him forward to being a dominant player, as you talk about. And I think that his confidence is developing and developing. It might have took a little hit this summer with Team Curry, but I think it's developing now more so. And talks from Ryan Bernardi at the Burlington School are just he's playing fabulously right now, and it's something that I'm eager to see. Can't wait to see what it looks like. But as you said, looking at the roster makeup and what these people have taken from these schools, breaking things down a little bit, both Providence and Clemson have both already taken power forwards, kind of what Coel's position is. This past year, Clemson took Lynn Kidd Jr. He classified up. He's a kid from Florida. Classified up 6'9", so he's redshirting this year, and he's going to be a freshman in coming in 2021 next year. And also Coel's AAU teammate Ian Shefflin. So they already have two guys kind of in the 2021 class at that position. Providence does as well. Legend Jeter and Rafael Castro as well. Castro 6'9", Jeter 6'7", both kind of at that same kind of hybrid position or whatnot that he plays. So then you look at Central and Howard. So, excuse me. Central loves the older guys. Central loves the transfers. They love the big, strong, burly guys and all that type of stuff. And looking at Howard, they made a splash this past year, taking Maker onto the team and all that type of stuff as well. So if my money were on it, my money would be looking at the roster construct and all that stuff, looking at Howard. Obviously, that'd be a really great thing with the HBCU push that they've had over this past year, and something that I really hope stays. The historically the HBCUs and everything. I hope it's something that stays in, that people do give them serious looks and continue to give them serious looks. But if I were a betting man, I'd put my money on Howard for this one, and that would be a great get for the staff there and the projection moving forward. And I think it's a good level for Coel too, because it will allow him to come in. Without a huge spotlight on him and all that type of stuff, and allow him to progress at his own rate, build his confidence at his own rate, and develop into the type of player that he can be in the long run.
Yeah, and I also think that's a place, if he does go there, that he can get minutes off the bench there, maybe as a freshman, sophomore, and then develop into a big-time player to them his junior and senior year. So those four teams, like I said, those are the four that he's down to, and he's committing Saturday, 14th, and he just posted that he's going to be doing it on his Instagram live at 11 a.m. So be there, be ready to see where one of the top players in North Carolina is heading to. Now,
and just like on College Game Day, you can be Kirk Herbstreit here. If he's calling the game at night, he can't predict as to where it's going. So
yeah, I can't.
Since you're doing the graphic, and you probably already know where he's going. We'll not put you on the spot to.
Yeah, I can't predict, but it's definitely the best move. He knows players like this. People from the outside may not always get why players go to places, but the players always have their reasons and know what's best for them. So he's going to make the best decision for him, and we hope he has a great senior year at the Burlington School, hoping to win a state championship, and he's going to do great in college. So, like I said, Saturday the 14th, be there. Now, moving on.
What did Uncle Rob say? A little inside information. What did Uncle Rob say about facing off against Coel in that in the playoffs?
Okay, well, so last year in the playoffs, he got eaten alive, and I was kind of talking to him, and I was giving him a hard time about it. But yeah, he was not happy about it. But this year, They play TBS. Luckily they don't have to play them in the playoffs this year. They do play them in the regular season though. Greenfield doesn't have a player on their team over 6'6", so they're gonna have some struggles against him. Maybe a lot of fouls against him. But he know players like that. You always would love to have them on your team, and not to be playing against them. So. Rob thinks he's a great player and knows he has a ton of potential. That's when I look at Coel, I think he has a ton of potential to be a great player.
I'll tell you what, though, they might not have a player over 6'6", but they sure as hell have Rob Salter on the sideline. And
He's in some good teams with some small and unathletic players.
You give Rob Salter a little bit of talent, and he's going to be in every game that he plays.
For sure. So yeah, they've got two really good freshmen, and then like we talk about them a lot on our podcast. Aaron Murphy's we think gonna be the leader of that team and hopefully lead them past victory, which they're looking dangerous.
They are. They reloaded.
Yes, those Simpkin twins. I saw some of them. They are really good, and then like we talked about I forgot his name. Their new kid that came in from Hamilton Heights. So.
Randy Ovale?
No, he came in from St. John Bosco, but They just got a guy like a week ago. His name's like Lewis. I forgot his last name, but he's really good. He played on their team this weekend. I forgot his name. I'm blanking on it, but yeah, they're gonna be really good. So Rob is gonna have a treat. He's gonna be in a treat. So all right, moving on to Lake Norman Christian versus Oak Hill on ESPN Thursday. So that's in 2 days, or is it next Thursday?
This Thursday.
This Thursday. All right, Lake Norman Christian from Charlotte. Everybody, if you live in North Carolina, if you live in the country and know about high school basketball, you know about them. And obviously Oak Hill, the one of the most storied programs in the country. They face off on ESPN. I would say Lake Norman Christian has impressed me with their play in the Border League. And I think they have a better chance in this game than a lot of people think. Obviously, Oak Hill lost Dior Johnson a couple weeks ago, who actually just decommitted from Syracuse today. Mm-hmm. So they lost Dior, and then they lost Zion Cruz a couple weeks ago too to the Patrick School. So I think a lot of people think Oak Hill would be the favorites in this game, but I think Lake Norman Christian has a chance to keep it really close.
They do. You talk about the Border League and stuff, and you could tell that they were a little bit uptight when they went out there and played. I mean, it's a lot of these guys' first time really playing on that type of level. Obviously, Mikey, everywhere he goes, is just flooded with people and stuff watching. But you look at the likes of a Jonathan Curtis or a JP Haggerty or AJ Allen's back and all these other guys. It's like they've never really played in this big time environment and everything. Joyful Hawkins even and stuff. So that was kind of their test, and it was scrimmage games. Those games didn't matter, quote unquote. They didn't matter, But now this is a game. This is a real live game. It's going to be on ESPN2. Everybody's going to be watching. So they're battle tested. They've played on TV. They've had the crowds and stuff. Now they're going up to Oak Hill. As you said, one of the most storied programs, if not the most storied program in the country right now, to kind of play their first game on ESPN. And it'll be very interesting to see how they come out and play. I watched them last Friday against Quality Education, and I also watched them a couple weeks ago in a scrimmage as well. And they looked really good. When they're playing together as a team, moving the ball, making shots, playing selflessly for one another, they're a really, really good program, possibly the best team in the state of North Carolina. When things are going well for them, it's just a matter of how, adding Mikey in and then continuing that will be interesting to see how it plays out with all that. But I mean, this Oak Hill team, you mentioned they lost Dior and Zion, but their backcourt right now is MJ Rice and Caleb Foster. I actually was watching them a little bit earlier, right before we got on. They were playing a game tonight, streaming it at 6 o'clock. Caleb Foster and MJ Rice have been their two leading scorers for the majority of their games. Then you add in Jalen Reed, who's a 6'9" guy from Mississippi. He's a 2022 prospect as well. His father, Justin Reed, played at Ole Miss, two-time SEC Player of the Year draft pick for Boston Celtics, I believe it was. You add AJ Williams, who's got multiple offers and stuff as a shooter, a scorer. You got Jonah Egbo, big protector on the paint and all that stuff. Cameron Carter, I believe his name is, scoring.
Like, he's like doing like 17 a game, so. Yeah,
they have a ton of talent and all that, but they're a new team. And what this Oak Hill team doesn't have is they don't have that guy. Usually they have the Cole Anthony. Usually they have the big name player. Yeah, Cam Thomas. Like you said, they have the big name player. This team doesn't necessarily have that, but they're more of a cohesive team and a cohesive unit. And they've been playing now. I think they probably played 5 or 6 games already. So they're used to it. They're going to be at home. They're going to have the Oak Hill refs that everybody knows about too. So I think it's an interesting storyline. If Lake Norman Christian comes in confident, and they start hitting shots early, if JP Haggerty hits a shot and gets going, if Trey Green hits a couple shots, if Mikey plays within the flow of the offense and gets everybody involved and moves the ball around while still picking his spots, I think the game could be more interesting. Or also they could get boat raced.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big possibility that they just go in there and get absolutely destroyed. And that would be a slap in the mouth for Mikey and Trey and all of them, that they need to get a lot better. I think another point that you made about getting started early is a big point. When they played Team Sizzle in the Border League, Mikey I think started in the first half like 1 for 6 or 2 for 7 or something like that, and they got behind early. They can start out, hit a few shots. Their forwards, like Curtis and Alan Spatch and all of them, they can shoot it. So they can. I think if they hit a few threes and Mikey can get his teammates the ball, that they have a chance. I think the thing about Lake Norman is a lot of people see that duo of Mikey and Trey. But I think their depth at forward and even down low, that's going to be where they can kill Oak Hill, is down on the block, on the boards, and just being bigger and more physical than Oak Hill.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I fully agree with. I was just about to bring that point up, but I think you hit the nail on the head with it. I think that that there are spots on the floor where Lake Norman Christian has an advantage over Oak Hill, and if they can find those spots and exploit them while cleaning up and rebounding, cleaning up possessions and everything, I think it could be a close game.
Yeah, and I was gonna MJ Rice, which he is right now a shooting guard for them. He is like he's not skinny, so that's gonna be an interesting matchup. He's like a point forward. I mean, he's 6'5.5", and he's built like a fullback. So if they put, I mean, Mikey and Trey, Mikey is bigger than Trey, obviously. So they put Mikey on MJ. I think that's gonna be interesting to see how Mikey can defend him, and if MJ overpowers him. So I'm really excited to watch that.
It's super interesting with that too, because they could go small. Like if Lake Norman is beating them up on the block, they could try to go with the mismatch and play MJ maybe at the 4. And try to go with a matchup issue and see and make Lake Norman try to have to adjust that. But that's just the thing of having an MJ Rice, because like you said, he's like a point forward. He can play the 2, 3, or 4, being 6'5.5", 215 pounds, built straight out of granite. Put his elbow in the rim and all that type of stuff. I mean, there's some advantages there, and also too, if you look at it, Caleb Foster's a 6'4" point guard. So there's size there that they have in the backcourt.
Yeah, and like we said, they have all those other guys that can score, and they've got how do you say his name? The kid, I forgot his name. It starts with an O. You said him when you were running down the roster.
Egbo.
Yeah, Egbo. Yeah. He's going to be big for them. So that's going to be an interesting game. ESPN2 on Thursday. Get to watch Oak Hill and Lake Norman, which Oak Hill is one of their two of their top players are from North Carolina. So I'm really excited to see how they play. And
to think Trey Green's going to have this one circled, because Trey Green, I'm sure, has heard for a long time, not a long time, but I'm sure he's heard Caleb Foster might be better than him, Kings and all that type of stuff too. So I bet Trey Green's going to come out with a personal vendetta on this one.
For sure. And he always takes things personal. So that's going to be a great game. Now moving into tomorrow is the big signing day for a lot of players. I know for sure Dontrez and Bobby are signing to their respective schools, and I'm sure a lot of the players that have committed already are going to be committing or going to be signing. So what do you think? I think a lot of people, when people commit to schools, they go to them. People don't really overlook the signing period. But this is kind of like the formal recognition of the player joining the program. I mean, when players commit to the school, the program can't really post that they've committed there because they haven't really signed. So this is when the program can they can really join the family, and the program can publicize them. So can you just emphasize, when you've covered high school basketball, what you think the importance of the signing period can be?
Well, I mean, just as you said, it's multiple things. Just as you said, once the paper is signed, the scholarship papers are signed, they're officially part of the program. The coach can talk about them and do all that type of stuff as well. Also, it's kind of a culmination. It's a celebration of all the hard work you've put in, because, now you're putting your pen to paper, you're getting full scholarship money and all that type of stuff. It's a celebration in front of your friends and your family and everything that, I am going to this Division I program. I'm not having to pay for schooling and all that type of stuff too. And they have 2 signing periods now. Obviously they have the early signing period, which is coming up tomorrow. And then they have a later signing period as well, which a lot of the other guys will sign during, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But, you look at North Carolina right now, we've already had 25 guys commit to play Division I. 26 will be Coel when he commits on Saturday. That's an unbelievable amount.
Yeah.
That's more. I think South Carolina last year had 16 total throughout the entire recruiting process. Right now North Carolina's got 26 that have committed, and then there's
so much more.
Twice that'll probably sign late. With that as well. So we're an unbelievable fertile ground right now of basketball talent and exciting times. And none of those players who've already committed have gone Power 5. You have the ACC guys with DeMarco Dontrez. You got Lucas Taylor going to Clemson. You got, Breon going to NC State.
I was going to say something interesting. You got like 3 duos right there. You got Dontrez and DeMarco at UNC. You got Breon and Terquavion at NC State. And then you got Bobby and Eric at Louisville. So you got 3 little trios there for really those 6 are probably locks for top 10 players for that class. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I think the 2 big guys that haven't committed yet is obviously Adu and then Nixon. Those 2 are going to – I think Adu may be on – since he just released his top 10 – obviously, I could be wrong. I'm just speculating here that he may be committing in the upcoming months. So I would say those 2, and then I think some other players would be Tyler Lumblade, BJ Freeman, Jarvis Moss. Could also be some people to look at that are still available on the board.
Yeah. So Jonas will probably commit in January. He just did his top 10. He'll probably come out with a top 4 or 5 in December, and then he'll commit in January, I believe his thing is. But, of those 10 schools, there's some schools that are very much sticking out to him right now. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And of those schools, too, one of the in-state schools is one of the ones that's kind of sticking out. He's kind of got a top 3 or 4 right now, I believe, that's really pushing for him. He's another one, just like Coel, were he to have waited to the late period, which he's going to. But he's going to blow up this year. He's just going to blow up this year.
Yeah.
Coel, I believe, is going to do the same thing with the position Bernardi's going to put him in also. But, given the year of the pandemic and everything, it's smart to go ahead and commit, get it out of the way, sign, make sure that you got something going, and then figure it out once you get there and all that too. But I agree with you. I think Jonas Adu is obviously the main one. Daniel Nixon's going to be an interesting one too. We'll watch him again here at 8 o'clock whenever they come on against Bull City, see how he looks. And everything. Another couple names as well that I agree with you on. I'm surprised you didn't mention Jamari Thomas.
I think Jamari's in an interesting position, though, because Jamari, he really hasn't been getting the look. I mean, he has been getting looks, the offers that really represent the play that he has been putting. So I would say Jamari may be kind of like how Ricky Council waited forever to commit. I think Jamari could be one of the last players to commit in this class, just because I think his offers are going to come in the later half of the season once coaches look at the play that he's put in for this season. So I think Jamari would probably be, one of the last players to commit for NC 2021.
Did you see that dunk he had off the tip-off this past weekend? That was crazy.
Yes, he is uber athletic. I'm super excited to watch him play.
Opening tip, comes down, dunks on a kid. That was unbelievable. I hadn't seen that before. I wish I was there to watch that. I would have gone crazy.
Yeah. And then the Ryan Roberts kid got the big dunk too. They're going to be really good.
Yeah, they're going to be good. I mean, they have those 3. Ryan Roberts, again, we had to talk about him. He took a huge jump this summer playing with the Garner Road 16s. I think he's in line to have a huge year too, along with Jamari and Coel. But then they have the 3 young kids with Jaquel Powell and Kobe George and Zion Walker on that team as well. Burlington School is going to be interesting. Another couple guys, though, obviously we just said Jamari Thomas. I think the duo Jonas Adu's teammates over at Liberty Heights, PJ Edwards and Isaac Farah, are 2 who could have huge summers coming up. I know that PJ's going to blow up. Yeah, Elijah Jamison too in the 2022 class. But I mean, I know PJ's hearing from SEC schools and all that stuff now. Big East schools love them and everything too. It's just so tricky right now because coaches can't get out and watch. They can't get out and see. They can't get out and see that he's 205, 210 pounds and long, and what his frame looks like, and all that. So, and then Isaac too, being 6'9" and ability to handle the ball and all that stuff too, he's going to blow up. Jonathan Curtis, we mentioned earlier, I think is going to have a big one. Senior season, I think that he's the type of one. Lake Norman's going to have 6 more games starting Thursday on ESPN this year. So Curtis is going to be one of those ones that could mess around really opened some eyes. And then I think Justin Taylor, Carmel Christian, has a chance to have a really good year. His game's really slowed down for him this season. And then Bradley Haskell is a player that not many people are talking about at Pinecrest. Obviously, he led his – do what?
I said he tore apart Carter Witt.
He went to he led his team to the state championship game last year. I mean, I guess they were co-state champions with North Mech, and he was unbelievable. And he had a great summer with Flight 22 this year too. And I think he's got high point offers, maybe one or two others as well. But I think he's someone who could have a big year, provided that for whatever reason, coaches don't look at Fayetteville very much, but they should because they've always got talent. So hopefully they do it there. And two other guys that I think that are off the radar. You mentioned, you didn't mention one. I was a conversation I had previously, but two other guys that are off the radar that don't have any offers right now, who I think could end up having 5 to 10 offers, provided things break right for them. Joseph Ferrante at South Mech and Peyton Gerald and Audrey Kell.
Ferrante about Peyton Gerald.
Yeah. He's 6'8", long, lengthy, very switchable defender. Blocks a lot of shots, and he dunks a lot 10 feet in the end. Joe Ferrante is more skilled. He's equally athletic. He's also he's got a 32, 33 ACT score or something. Unreal. ACT wasn't around in Myrtle Beach when I was in high school, so I have no idea what that what the high level is. We all had SAT, but he's unbelievably smart and everything, but he's also very skilled and all that. So, as we said, 25, 26 with Quell on Saturday have already committed. There's a lot more to be had.
For sure. And the other guy that I mentioned was Tyler Lumbley. And I actually I got to talk to him a little bit a couple of days ago, and he said he's got an interest from Wake Forest, Virginia. Those two were he's also got interest from Washington State. And Greensboro Day was supposed to play their first game today. It unfortunately got postponed. I think they are going to end up postponing their games for the next few days. But he's gonna be a great.
What does that mean?
Yikes!
But 10-day postponement.
Yeah, that is not good. But hopefully it's not what we think it is. Hopefully. But yeah, I think him coming from Texas, I mean, he averaged 34 a game last year in Texas, and now coming to this program in Greensboro Day that has coaches always look at for prospects. So
I think he's going to surprise people too with how really good he is. I saw him a couple weeks ago at the CP3 elite camp or whatever it was that they had, where they just invited CP3 kids, and he came to it, and he was one of the best players there. He was awesome. I think he's going to really surprise people with how really good he is.
And I think another player that could break out this year, I mean, there's just so many players that could break out. We're talking about Jarvis Moss without Jaden Bradley. I think if he plays the situation right, he's going to be the main guy on that team. I also got to talk to him a little bit. He's got interest from Kansas, Indiana, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and Arizona. And right now, he's got an offer from Tulsa, I think. Also interest from Stanford. So he's got a lot of interest. And when you play good on the court, those interests start turning into offers pretty quick. So
he played in my fall league that I had that just ended up this past week. And I put out a video today of him from his highlights from the fall league. Unbelievable shot maker. I mean, if you go through Absolute Basketball Experience, go look on his video that I put out today. Some of the shots that he was making were absolutely unbelievable. And it's easy to see, standing at 6'4", 6'5", he was initiating the offense, playing on the ball, and then, just cooking. The degree of difficulty on these shots was unbelievable. It's easy to see as to how you can watch these highlights, watch him play, and get this type of interest. It'll be interesting. I know Che's over there. He had a commitment date that he was going to commit.
Yeah,
grouping, and then I think that his confidence just backed out. I was like, you know what, I could probably go higher.
Yeah, I actually never really talked about that, but I made a graphic for him about a commitment date, and then he was like, I actually feel like I can get better offers than what I have right now. And then he was like, I'm gonna wait. And so I think that was a great decision by him. You don't want to rush it. I think a topic that I kind of want to hit on before, like you said, we kind of want to watch this Winston-Salem Christian game. a player last year, Jalen Hood, committed as basically a sophomore. Do you think there's a player that commits as a junior or sophomore that you could see going ahead and getting this recruiting process over and going and committing early?
Yeah. Deontay Green's the first one that comes to mind.
He already released the top 10, so
Yeah,
I
Deontay
think
Green's the first one.
he looks from everywhere. So
He is, but he'd be the first one that comes to mind. I wouldn't be surprised actually if he actually comes out in the 21 class after committing.
Yeah,
That's not any inside information. That's just speculation on the outside looking in. But yeah, he's the first name that came to my mind. I'd have to look through the list and see any more, but
yeah, he definitely has definitely already has his list out.
I would suggest though with 2022s, if they find a school that they like and they want that, I would suggest to them to go ahead and get into the mix because they're going to get really screwed this next year with people getting an extra year. Yeah, so how it's going to work out is this coming up year in the 2021 class, the teams are going to sign and those players are going to get to come in. So they're going to get their 13 roster size with that, and then they're going to be able to go over their roster spots for their seniors coming back. So let's say you have 4 seniors coming back, you can get to 17 roster spots on the roster with the 13 original and then the 4 coming back. Next year, they're going to go back to 13. Wow. So with that, everybody's getting an extra year next year as well. So that means that you're only going to have 13 roster spots, but the whole team, pretty much all the juniors, getting the extra junior year in line and all that too. So roster spots are going to be incredibly limited.
So what's going to happen to the whole 2022 class? I mean,
exactly.
That's going to be tough on them.
It is. There's going to be a lot of them left out to dry. So that's why I'm saying if the 2022 class does get an offer that they do like, it would behoove them to look into it pretty heavily and commit earlier rather than later.
And like you said, go ahead and if you can, and obviously there's so many circumstances with this, maybe reclass of 2021. So
that would be really smart too. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, like you said, with the extra year of eligibility. So I think that's all we got tonight. I'm excited for this game. I didn't know it was being streamed. Now you've made me excited to go watch it.
Maybe we can talk about it next week too.
Yes.
But Jack, this has been awesome, man. I can't wait to see. This is our first episode, and I can't wait to see what more brings. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and next week we'll have games to talk about. So
exactly. Basketball is being played.
Yes. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you can catch us next week on Tuesday at 7:00. Thank you guys.